Did you know you can have 200 hit points, a strength score of 22, a con score of 20, magical resistance, 120 feet of dark vision, and a bunch of other awesome things completely by the rules without any magic items or money in D&D at level 1? But this isn't just some disgusting game-breaking combo. This is the best D&D mechanic nobody uses. Let's talk about Tasha's Sidekicks. Sidekicks are an addition to D&D from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, the best, worst, most busted-ass book released in the last few years. There are a set of rules that instruct a DM on how to add a special NPC to a group of adventurers for roleplay and gameplay enhancement. Example, a party member might forge a friendship with a black bear and want to take it with them on their adventure as a pet. Or the party might be tasked with escorting a kobold sorcerer across the continent. Well, rather than just using a normal black bear or kobold stat block, the Sidekick rules take things in a way more interesting and powerful direction. Let's break it down. Part 2, creating a sidekick. A sidekick can be any creature with a stat block in the Monster Manual or another D&D book, as long as it has a CR of 1/2 or lower. Sure, no pet to ask yet, but this still leaves you with some great, flavorful options for your sidekick. You could have an NPC bandit, blink dog, bear, or zombie. Basically anything the players and the DM want as their companion. Then you gotta decide who's gonna play the sidekick in the game, with Tasha's giving 4 recommendations. Firstly, have all the players take turns controlling it. This is a great way to make sure everyone gets to go. Secondly, you can have the DM play the sidekick. Thirdly, you can have one player play the sidekick in addition to their main character. Finally, you can have a player play the sidekick as their only character. This is awesome for a new player who's learning the rules, or a guest who's joining for a few sessions and wants something simple. Part 3. So, how do sidekicks work? Sidekicks are a lot more than just a low CR creature tagging along with the group. They're basically a terrifying mixture of a monster stat block, class levels, and a DM on acid. Sidekicks start at the same average level as the group, and they level up as the characters level up. Their hit die is written on their stat block, so a blink dog would get 1d8 plus 1 hit points every time they level up. But the cool bit is that every sidekick gets a class, and this is where things get really spicy. D&dshorts is filmed before a live studio audience.
Oh, it says here on Reddit, some people think you're vain. What? That's crazy! Ooh, what's that? Why, it's coffee from Many Worlds Tavern. They have flavours themed all around D&D. Well, I am dangerously addicted to caffeine. Can I try some? Oh, I don't know. Can you? Oh, God!
Did you really think I'd just hand you my coffee if you want something? Don't beg for handouts like dying gutter vermin!
It's good though, right? You know, it actually really is.
Fuel your game nights with fantasy-themed coffee from Many Worlds Tavern. It's amazing quality, sustainably packaged and shipped, and they even donate $1 per bag to gaming non-profits. So you can feed your caffeine addiction and support charity at the same time. The first 100 people to use the code D&dshorts at checkout by following the link below get 10% off their first order. That's 10% off at checkout with code D&dshorts link below. Part 4. Sidekick Classes. Sidekicks get a choice of 3 exclusive classes: the Expert, the Warrior, and the Spellcaster. The Expert is focused around mastery of tasks and being helpful. They're basically the support option. To take this class, the Sidekick must be able to speak at least 1 language. Although guide dogs are totally a thing, so I'd allow a seeing eye raptor personally if the players really wanted one. As experts level up, they gain features that basically turn them into a simplified support rogue. They can also use the help action as a bonus action, potentially letting them help 2 people a turn. Then there's the Spellcaster class. Just like with experts, this is only available to sidekicks who can speak at least 1 language. Sadly, no spellcasting fireball crabs for us. Again, yet. They have their own spell progression, and it's slower than most spellcasters, basically making them a more simple, less powerful version of your typical wizard. The final option is Warrior, and it's the only one that doesn't require a language for you to take. Ladies and gentlemen, our armored bear has arrived. Warriors gain proficiency in all armor, and if humanoid, all weapons and shields. As warriors level up, they get a few of the champion fighter's abilities, including Second Wind, Indomitable, Extra Attack, and Improved Crits. Part 5. Improving the game with sidekicks and getting 200 hit points at level 1. The sidekick rules are awesome because they give you a balanced and simple way to introduce an NPC into the game. Sure, you can just use a wolf stat block for the party's pet wolf. But that means Fenton is going to be a pretty big liability as soon as the party get past level 3, when he dies to everything. As a sidekick though, Fenton grows more powerful with the team, getting extra hit points and combat options. Players are also more likely to connect with him because he's actually doing stuff in the story. I would die for you, Fenton. I would die for you. Sidekicks are also amazing for teaching new players the game. You can have the entire build made in 10 seconds, and they can just join the existing group. Sidekicks don't need to stick around forever either. They can be a great way to spice up a short story arc. You can give the party a friendly NPC Gnoll to control in combat. This can be a nice way for non-spellcasters to get some experience with magic, or for the wizard to have some fun busting heads in the front line for a change. But of course, there's one final benefit for all players. You can play D&D as any CR 1/2 or lower creature. That means you can get really fucking weird. You can be a goddamn swarm of rats. And yes, you can be some totally broken things too. The obvious choice here, if you're looking to push the limits of the mechanic, is to be a sidekick pixie. This gives you a ton of innate once per day spells, including polymorph from level 1. You also get a 30-foot fly speed and can turn invisible at will. And of course, all that's before you actually choose a sidekick class to play as. However, that is thinking way too small. Let's talk about the real, most broken level 1 build in D&D. Choose to play as a sidekick, and pick your race as the CR0 Stone Giant Statue. Boom! You start at level 1 with 17 D12 plus 85 hit points. That gives you a maximum possible of 289 hit points and an average of around 200. You also have 22 strength, 20 con, 17 AC, a ton of immunities, 120 feet dark vision, magical resistance, and all your weapon attacks are counted as magical. At level 1. We have to take the warrior class because we can't speak a language, giving us a +2 to our attack rolls and a few bonus proficiencies. Interestingly, this build doesn't have any weapon proficiencies at all. You can still attack with weapons, you just won't be proficient with them. However, I actually quite like the idea of being limited to unarmed strikes only. As the rules clarify, you're always proficient with your fists. Altogether, that means you have a +10 to hit. Again, at level 1. It's worth pointing out that we don't have attack options in our Stone Giant stat block, but we can still attack. This box here has recommended action options, but all characters and monsters can take all basic actions. Gnolls don't have the dodge action in their stat block, but of course, Gnolls can dodge. Stone Giants have an intelligence of 3, about as smart as a wolf, and someone suggested the awesome idea of flavoring it as them slowly coming alive over the course of an adventure, with every ASI you get being pumped into intelligence. You can have a whole party of golems, slowly gaining sentience as they explore the world. But of course, we're talking about a very specific type of game here. Do not try and pull this off in a serious, balanced game where other players are bringing normal stuff. It is broken, and your DM will slap that bad boy with a ban instantly, and damn it, they'll be right to do so. Luckily, we're good D&D players, and although this is cool, we understand that D&D is about building a fun experience and story together for everyone. With that goal in mind, sidekicks are awesome. DMs, consider giving your party a sidekick, and players, consider asking your DM about turning your pet mastiff into one. Or why not play a one-shot where everyone plays sidekicks? See how the bad guy deals with the ultimate adventuring party of a giant badger, a swarm of bees, a zombie, and an animated knife. Now that is what D&D is all about. Remember to check out the DM's Secret Weapon magazine, released monthly with a ton of awesome maps, ready-to-play adventures, feats, spells, subclasses, races, and loads more. You can also play in the D&D games I run for the whole community there too. You can also check out other videos on the channel, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.